Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it? Let's get it.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here. Good morning. Most people are probably sleeping, but I figured, you know what? It's been a long weekend with the draft. Let's just chill. I'm going to grab some coffee. So if you guys are catching this live, catching it in the afternoon, catching it in the evening, make sure you do one thing, and that's like, subscribe, share. We've got some great shows coming up. Obviously, we had some great interviews with some former Cowboys, former college Heisman Trophy winners like Charlie Ward. We've got a lot going on this week. We got JT Thomas of the Pittsburgh Steelers coming in. What's up, my man Vince? You're up with me this morning. See, we're gonna get things going early, man. You gotta, you grab your coffee. I got my Thunder Lips, Rocky Balboa, and Hulk Hogan Rocky 3 coffee mug. Got nothing to do, just chilling, relaxing. Talk about the draft. It's over, and what I love about the draft is it's the start of the season, right? So now we've got the pieces in place. And now we do what? Now you've got all the experts telling you what grade you're getting. You got, people complaining, should have took this guy, should have took that guy. And that's the fun of the draft. That's what makes the NFL good. And I tell you what, watching in Kansas City, man, that the NFL is a machine now. I mean, I never would have thought 20 years ago, 15 years ago, the draft would become a national event where it's out. The ratings are outdrawing the playoffs in the NBA and all this other stuff. So it's big time money. Now, the draft's in Detroit next year. I missed this one. I don't know if I'm going to Detroit. I have to think about that one. But anyway, sometimes it ain't so bad in the comfort of your home. But talking about the draft, man, just trying to get your guys' thoughts. Forget the players. Did the Cowboys address the needs that we had, the needs that you thought we had? Defensive tackle. Again, not sexy, but we've had a problem stopping the run for a long, long time. Of all of us in Cowboys nations know the pain of, you go back to that Rams game in the playoffs when a couple of no-name guys ran for about 250 on us. And then obviously San Francisco having their way running. The Eagles, we got to contend with running the football. So I think they did. I think they did a smart move, not a sexy move, but smart move getting Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. He's going to be a run stopper. You pair him up with Hankins. I think it's definitely going to shore up things, but it's going to open stuff up for Tank and for Micah Parsons, kind of free them up a little bit. So do the dirty work, you could say. Not going to be big on the stat sheet. And then you look at Schoonmaker, and that's the tight end. I think there's some people saying, hey, maybe that wasn't the best one. Maybe they could have got someone else, the value, this, that. So you don't know how all that's going to work out. But he's kind of built like some of the tight ends that we've had. Dak loves tight ends. I mean, we've got Ferguson. We got Hendershot. Maybe there's something there where they don't bring some versatility that they think this guy does. I don't know. I'm not there. But, you lose Schultz. It makes sense to grab a tight end. Could they've got one later? I don't know. But I think he's got a skill set that's going to help this team as well. So, looking at those first two picks, I think about who can impact in 2023. We talk about Smith. You talk about Schoonmaker. Those guys are going to contribute. They're going to be in the rotation. They're going to make things happen. Overshown, I think the kid out of Texas, I'll be straight, man. I don't know a whole lot about him. If you guys know something about him, man, chime in and let us know. But he looks like high motor, speed, hard hitter, help on special teams, give some depth at linebacker. Because linebacker, take Parsons out of the mix. We're a little thin there. We've got some guys that have some injury history. So I think that was, that seemed like a pretty good pick. It's gotten some good reviews for what they're worth. But the intriguing one to me is Deuce Vaughn. Those of you guys that go way back, he reminds me a lot of, I believe he's at Kansas State too, is Sproles. Darren Sproles, who fell in the draft, had huge numbers in college, but he was small. So he never could, he ended up going with the Chargers. Man, that dude seemed like he played forever. I think he ended with the Eagles, if my memory's right. But he had a long career for a kid who was like 5'6", 5'7", 5'5", whatever he was. He had a long career in the NFL. And I think Deuce Vaughn is very similar. He's a little bit maybe heavier, not much heavier, but a little bit heavier than Sproles was. But I watched him play in that Big 12 championship live in my own eyes, and I said, "Man, this is a dude who can bring something to the table. He's not going to be a guy he ain't carrying the rock 20 times, but he's a situational player. He's someone. You got Pollard now, right? So we've got to get a back behind him. So I think Deuce Vaughn is one of those guys, man. You get him in the 6th round, and then the story with his father being a scout on the Cowboys. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to be a father and call up your son and say, "Hey, you want to come to work with me on Monday?" So I thought that was really good. I thought that was a good story. And he seems like a great kid. So I'm excited. That's probably the pick. As I look around this wall, I'm thinking, man, which one of these guys is going to earn the spot in the Cowboys cave? I don't know. I mean, again, these aren't sexy players. These aren't the Michael Irvins, the Emmitt Smiths, the Troy Aikmans, CDs, the Parsons, but this is what you call maybe a blue collar draft. These are guys who are going to get it done, and that's what this team needs. We got enough glam. We've got enough of the big time stars. We need some guys that are going to put the dirty work in, that are going to be the grinders, the blue collar guys to just get things done. And I think with this line, or with this draft, I think you've got it. So which player will have the biggest impact? I talked about it earlier. I think the biggest impact one's going to be, Mozzie Smith, just because we have trouble stopping the run. I think we're 22nd against the run last year. I don't know if we've ever been out of the 20s stopping the run in a long, 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 long time. So I think he's got to have the big impact for us, because we've got to be able to stop the run. You see what Philly's doing, and man, I hate to give Philly love, and I hate to give them any props, but their draft was pretty damn good. And then they get Swift. They trade for him, which you knew Detroit was going to do something when they picked up Gibbs at number 12. But it's gonna, you got to look at who you're going against, and the measuring stick for us in the NFC right now. You got to give Philly. Philly's the man. To be the man, you got to beat the man. So Philly's going to be top of the list, and you got San Francisco. So those two teams, physical, running the ball, physical teams, we've got to be able to match that. And I think with Smith, that's going to help. I even think Overshown, in things he can do, he has that potential to be that kind of guy as well. But also, when you look at this draft, don't forget the guys that we got, that we got in the trade. We traded a draft pick for Hankins last year, one of the picks this year, so we get him. You got Gilmore. We traded, one of our draft picks, I think a 5th round for Gilmore this year. Add him to the mix. And then you're talking about adding Cooks to the mix. So you've got a lot of, what's up, man? You've got a lot of guys in the, that we got in the off season that we use some of these picks for. So grab some coffee. So just, keep that in mind. And all these grades, man, these grades ain't worth a shit. I mean, let's just be honest about it. Let's just call it for what it is. Give a grade in 2 years. Give a grade when you see what these guys do. Like, we've all talked about it. We got, everyone laughed at us with Tyler Smith. How'd that work out? Everyone laughed at us, not laugh, but they were not happy with the Parsons pick. They were critical of the Parsons pick. They didn't think the linebacker should have been drafted that high. We should have got an offensive lineman. So how's that working out for it? Working out pretty damn good, isn't it? So it just really, you don't know until they get in the system. And you look at what Dan Quinn's been able to do. You think about Smith. We talk about Overshown, Fiocco, an edge guy that we got in the 4th round. Eric Scott, cornerback. You got, who is it? I think that was it on defense. I'm looking at my list to make sure I've got it right. Then plus, we got some undrafted free agents that we're looking at as well. This defense, we're a defensive team now, guys. I mean, that's kind of where we're going. And I love that. I love good defense. And it's like Ray Lewis said, and Micah Parsons, he retweeted it. If the offense don't score, they can't win. So our defense can be the strongest part of the offense by holding these guys down and putting our offense in better positions to score points. Now, I think offense, they get you to the dance, so you got to put up points. So our offense has got to, we got to handle our side of the, of the bargain. They got to be able to do them because, in the playoffs against San Francisco, defense did everything you wanted. You couldn't ask for anything more from that defense. The offense didn't step it up, but I think that's where you're going to get cooks. That's going to help. I think, like I said, Deuce Vaughn, I don't know what number he's going to be because, when you get a name like Deuce, you got to be 22. I mean, that goes with it, but 22's been, that's taken. I don't know if Emmitt Smith, I don't know if we want to be giving up Emmitt Smith's number right there. I'm not a big numbers guy. It wouldn't bother me if he got 22. I'm not one of those sentimental guys that say you can't have a number that the previous guy had. I mean, you look what 88's done. 88, they created the 88 club through the years with the Cowboys, so it's almost like a badge of honor to wear it. So I'm not huge, into those numbers. It won't bother me if they gave him 22. What's up, Doug? And so it really depends. So I got a few people up with me this morning, man. And nothing wrong with that. I figured I would be sleeping in after that long weekend, with the draft. But what do you guys think? Who was the player that you saw that you're like, man, this is the guy. This is the guy that we want. This is the guy that I'm happy we got in the draft. Who's the one that you said, I can't believe we got this guy. He's not going to help us. We should have went a different direction. I mean, let me know in the chat and even in the comments if you're watching this later, because we'll be live on Monday, we'll be live on Thursday, and we can definitely talk about it. But yeah, it's a fun draft. It's a good draft. It's hyped about Deuce, man. I tell you, a lot of people are hyped about Deuce. I don't know what you guys were thinking, but as that draft was going, it's like, where's the running back? Third round, we'll get a running back third round. That didn't happen. All right, we'll get one fourth round. That'll happen. We'll get one fifth round. That didn't happen. It got to a point where, what are they going to do? Are they going to bring Zeke back? Is that the plan of Zeke had his chance at free agency, didn't really get much love, so he could be maybe brought back at a lower cost, but then they go ahead and get Deuce. But I'm saying, even if you got Deuce, does that still leave the door cracked open for Zeke? Because, Jerry Jones mentioned it because it was asked, possibly, is the door closed on Zeke? Could you bring him back? And he's like, it's not closed. It could. And I'll be honest with you, I would love to have Zeke back at the right price. I think the role would change. I think you've got to, Pollard's got to be the man. And I think now with Deuce, you've got to be able to use him in right situations. But with Zeke, what he can bring, that veteran presence, pass protection, short yardage, that kind of stuff. There is a spot for Zeke. There is a spot for Zeke in the NFL. It's just, he's not going to be the bell cow anymore. I think, unfortunately, with running backs, and for him, the injuries and the pounding is just kind of taking its toll. And he's just not the same player he was, obviously, in 2016, 18, and 19. So let's see. Wide receiver in the last round doesn't look problem. No, the wide receiver, I was thinking that we would get a receiver earlier because you saw some of those fall. My son was pissed off we didn't get Hyatt, and he ended up going to the Giants. It makes you think, talking about another Jalen is maybe, they're feeling better about Tolbert, maybe in McCarthy's scheme of offense. It's going to set better for Tolbert. I know he's put a lot of work in. He's been very vocal on, the disappointment kind of in his rookie season. It really wasn't nothing. So I think Tolbert has got to, he's got to step up this year. If he does, and he's your 4, and he plays like he is capable of, like we saw, at least I saw him in college. I don't know if you guys saw him in college play. I mentioned a buddy of mine's kid played at South Alabama, so I watched a lot of their games to support him. So I just kind of saw him just because I was watching those games, and I mean, he can play. I mean, he's a good receiver. He could have went to Alabama. Alabama wanted him in this whole transfer portal. He could have transferred to Alabama going into his senior year, and he probably would have been a much higher draft pick in that offense, but he was committed to South Alabama. He's from that area, and he wanted to stay loyal to the school that recruited him. So that just shows his type of character he has as well. So a lot's going to be on Tolbert to be able to bring it. But I think in adding Cooks, I don't think there's going to be as much pressure on Tolbert. Tolbert, coming out of the draft, they get rid of Amari Cooper. Now you're coming in and you're trying to replace, our number one / number two receiver, whichever way you want to put Cooper. Maybe that was just a little too much for him. Maybe that was just something he tried too hard, thought too much, and it just didn't work out. So we'll see what happens. But I'm still hopeful. I know we got a couple guys in this that support the channel that do not like Tolbert. So hopefully he gets an opportunity to prove him wrong. Like I said, he doesn't have to be the one. He can be the 4. So, absolutely, love the Mozzie pick and getting that big guy in the middle. We need that nasty. Last year, again, I give Philly credit, and I hate to do it, but I wanted Sue. I wanted to do something in the season to address our run stop. Now they got Hankins, which was good, but I thought they could have done more. The only thing they better not do is they better not get rid of Gallimore, because he does his intro, and it break my heart to have to redo it, because I think he does the best intro in the business when it comes to some of these channels. Man, he hit it perfectly. So definitely don't want him to go to have to redo that. That would suck. So anyway. But yeah, so I think the Mozzie pick, I think he's going to be impactful, and I think Schoonmaker, I think a lot of people are sleeping on the tight end. And I think what McCarthy likes to do is he likes to run a lot of tight ends. I mean, they're going to be moving guys, the different personnel that they run with the, no back one, tight end set, 2 tight end sets. Schoonmaker can play a lot of different spots on the field. So I think it's just going to make us better. You can never have enough good players. And the kid comes from a big school. I don't know what it is with Michigan. I don't know if we got some ties. Like I tweeted out, I don't know if our girl MC has been doing some of this scouting for the Cowboys now, but a lot of Michigan ties early. And I think they misunderstood what I said. I tweeted out Miami, not Michigan, Miami. We need to get some Miami guys on this team, because if you remember when Miami was on this team, when we had guys drafted from Miami, we won Super Bowls. So I'd like to see that continue. So hopefully, we can get a Miami guy sooner or later. I mean, I'd like to anyway. So, but I saw my man Stevenson went in the second round, and someone laughed at me when I drafted him in my mock draft, saying that's way too high for him, and he went exactly where I drafted him. So, guy from the U, and then Mallory, I think he went to the Panthers. So, got a couple guys from Miami went. So it's gonna be interesting. And yeah, again, I don't know a lot about Schoonmaker. I'll be honest, I'm not one of these draft guys that just analyze every player. I mean, some of them do great jobs. I mean, Nix and Tuck, I mean, they do phenomenal work, and that's kind of my go-to for some of my, looking at these prospects and figuring out what it is. They do a lot of good, good work. So make sure I'm sure you guys are already checking them out, but I'm not. I'm a fan, man. I'm just going to tell you the way I see it. And I'm looking at positions. I'm looking at defensive tackle. I'm looking at tight end. I'm looking at linebacker. We got Richard from North Carolina, offensive lineman, to kind of help us out, give us a little bit more depth. Eric Scott, don't know much about him, but cornerback was a spot that I'd say, hey, I'd probably grab another one, because at the end of the day, Gilmore is probably a 1 year option, 2 year tops. I mean, he's kind of one of those, run of players, get some veteran presence, but you can never have enough cornerbacks. And I just don't know with Wright and with our boy Kelvin Joseph, what's going to happen with them, where they're kind of, the thing with Joseph is he's kind of created a nice spot for him on special teams. So I think that's how he's going to make the roster and continue to make the roster, is on special teams. Now his contract, I think, is up next year. Typically if you're not impactful in any way, unless you're signing a low deal, they're probably going to move on from you and get another younger guy. So what's up, bud? What's going on, man? Here on a Sunday, just chilling, having some coffee with my Rocky Balboa. That's the one thing I like about Philly. I love me some Rocky Balboa, and I love some Thunder Lips. So figured I'd get up in the morning after all this draft stuff and just hang with Cowboys Nation before I get my Sunday started and chill with you guys. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm just excited. So I mean, you look at the draft and what's next, and I don't know what the hell's taking so long, but when is the schedule coming out with the dates? That's what I'm waiting for. And I don't know if you guys What's your thoughts on it? I'm already trying to figure out, when do the Jets play the Cowboys? Because I have never seen Aaron Rodgers play the Cowboys live and in person, and I would love to go to that game. If it's on Thanksgiving, which is a 50% chance, the way the odds work out with the Thanksgiving Day game, because we're going to be playing an AFC team, we got a 50% shot of that happening. It's either going to be New England or the Jets. I'm hoping NBC has enough pull, because that's an NBC Sunday night game. So we need to have that as an NBC Sunday night game, and that would be cool. So, what games are you circling on your calendar on the schedule? Obviously, Philly. I've never seen the Giants and Cowboys play live. Um, Road game. Any of you guys going down to Miami? That's my hometown. So your boy's going to be coming down to Miami, making a trip there to see us slap them Dolphins around. But yeah, Deuce Vaughn's going to be a dog. I think that was the steal for us of the draft. And I think looking back, it's going to be one of those steals in the entire draft. I'm telling you, this guy's been doubted because of his size. Yep. And I said it, Sproles 2.0. I talked about it earlier. And you look at the career Darren Sproles had, everyone thought he wouldn't do nothing, man. He had a long career, and he was effective, and he was an impact. So I'm thinking the same thing with Deuce Vaughn, and I think with our offense, and I think the sky's the limit for him. And I think it's one of those good picks. Like I said a little bit earlier, I was worried we weren't drafting a running back. What the hell's going on? I think even Kelly, tweeted it out. It's just, what the hell were they doing? But I don't question him. The thing you got to say with McClay, you're never going to hit a home run on every pick. You're always going to have some guys that don't make the team. You're drafting kids, and you're drafting kids to the NFL, and you don't know how they're going to pan out. I mean, every one of these guys are the best of the best at their school. That's why they're drafted. But some can transition over to that next level, whether it be from a talent standpoint. Some of them have issues there, just transitioning over to that game. But some of it's personal. Some of it's just everything that's around you, all the noise that is around you. How can you handle that? And that's why you look at Philly. Yeah, Philly, they killed it in the first round. Absolutely killed it. But you got to see what happens. I mean, some players fall for a reason. And when you see players continuing to fall, it's got to make you wonder what the hell's going on. I mean, all these guys put millions of dollars in scouting, and they know their whole life story. Why did Levis fall? I mean, what would they say, 92% chance that he was supposed to be picked in the top 15 or whatever it was, and he fell. So watch him. Watch these guys that fall. There's probably a reason. Now, I hope they're all successful. I want to see everyone drafted in the NFL reach their potential, but you just don't know. You just don't know. So let's see. A lot of comment, a lot of negativity going on about Cowboys Nation right now about this draft. I feel like we address needs. Maybe it's not sexy, but I feel good about it. Well, but that's the Cowboys. That's the Cowboys fans. I mean, let's just be real. We have our fan base is so polarizing, and I think a lot of it is because of the media and everything else around it. But this was a great draft. It wasn't sexy. You didn't get the limelight, but if you watch the show and you hear me talk about it, when I was a kid, I used to get pissed off. What are you doing? You're drafting an offensive lineman. Why are you drafting a defensive tackle in the first round like Russell Maryland? Now he was from the U, so I was happy. But you get these guys. We all want sexy, but sexy don't win the championships. The game is won in the trenches. Look at what Philly did. Look at these teams. It's won on the offense and defensive line. That's where it starts, and everything else builds out from it. So I think it's a great draft. I thought it was a great draft in the sense of we addressed the needs that we had on our team. Now, we'll find out if it's a great draft by did the talent we drafted, did they live up to the expectations to have an NFL career and to be successful? That's what's gonna determine it. Yeah, Sproles 8th all-time all-purpose yards. He was I was so it was him I wanted the Cowboys to draft, and the other player I wanted the Cowboys to draft, and I was so pissed when we didn't, was Devin Hester, because I saw him play at Miami, and I knew whoever got him, he was going to be a difference maker, whatever he did. I mean, he did everything at Miami. He was a receiver. He did running back. He did cornerback. He did everything. He was just a great football player. and the Bears ended up getting a third round. And I just, man, if the Cowboys would have got them, I would have been so happy. Yeah, we got some undrafted free agents, and we got that fullback. Where is he from? Like North Dakota, hard nose. I don't know. Some of them undrafted free agents. I'll be straight with you, man. I don't even know who the hell half of them are. But you bring up the point of undrafted free agents. The undrafted free agents, back in the day, they used to have a 12-round draft, So a lot of these undrafted free agents, they can be players. I mean, we've got some on our team now. There's plenty in the NFL. So it's, North Dakota. Yeah, thank you. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's any diamonds in the rough with that, because again, there's so many good players, and it really falls in the system that they go in, and can they be successful in the system that we have? And most of the fans that hate don't even know the Cowboys. No, that's true. Most of the comments and most of the things, like when I do the hype video. Now I was supposed to do a hype video, just so you guys know, the hype video. And I don't know, I was thinking, man, do I do it today, or is it kind of screwy if I did it today? I was supposed to do it Thursday night. I was all set to do it. The power went out of my house until 11 o'clock at night. And so I missed the whole draft as far as watching it on TV. I was watching it, updating on my phone. And people say, well, why didn't you just watch it, stream it live on your TV, on your phone? Well, I went on a podcast. I was invited to go on a podcast that night with Cowboys Can Fan. And I was trying to save my battery on my phone, and I had my family's phone so I could do flashlights. So if you go on and watch the podcast at the end, it looks like I'm just hidden in the dark, but that's, so I didn't get a chance to do the hype video. So I'm going to find a spot to do it, because, you got to kick off the season right. But like I said, I thought that the draft to me is the season starts. Now we start figuring out our guys, and it's definitely exciting. But yeah, so I was getting to the hate I get is, it's all the wannabe Cowboy fans. You have Cowboy fans that say they're fans, but all they are negative. And the thing I don't understand is, you can talk about Dak, and we can be critical of Dak. I mean, he doesn't get a free pass. I mean, I think all of us, if we're being realistic, you go back to that San Francisco game, we lost the game because of a poor play at the quarterback. We didn't lose it because of our defense. We lost it at poor play of the quarterback. He's got to own that. I mean, and you're the quarterback, so you're going to have to own that. But he's our quarterback, and I'm going to back him 1,000%. He's our guy. Now, if he goes to another team or they get another quarterback, then I'm going to back that guy. I'm a fan of the team, not necessarily a fan of the players lifelong. Now, I grow a fandom for them, like Emmitt Smith, and I love Zeke and CD and Parsons. I mean, you love those guys, but I'm a fan of the team. So we can be critical, but you have these fans that just constantly are negative about everything. And you think about it, you can be negative, and then you can just say, I told you so, right? Oh, the Cowboys suck. I told you so. Because only one team wins the Super Bowl. So you got a 1 out of 32 chance of winning the Super Bowl. So if you bitch and moan about the Cowboys all year, chances are you're probably going to be right, because it's very hard to win the Super Bowl. Only one team does it. So you have that section of fans. I don't understand it, because I'm a Cowboys fan. When the Cowboys won one game, I thought we'd win them all. When the Cowboys were 5-11, we had Coach Dave Campo on the show. We talked about his years, and he was guilty. He was burdened with a terrible roster. He was burdened with terrible draft picks the previous years. So he was a great coach for the Cowboys. I'm not saying a great head coach, but he coached 18 years with the Cowboys. He coached at Miami with Jimmy Johnson. He won national championship. He won 3 Super Bowls. He was a defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. So he's freaking good. You know what I mean? And he was with the team for 18 years. So, he was a solid coach, and he did a great thing. And during those 5-11 years, I thought we'd win. We had damn Ryan Leaf and Chad Hutchinson, and I was confident. And if you'd listen to me long enough, I would sit there and you'd be at the end. You say, shit, man, we might be able to win this game. But we had no talent, so we didn't. So that's the kind of fan I am. I'm a fan of the team. I think we're going to win every game. If we lose, all right, you're not going to win every game, but I'm going to be back next week thinking we're going to win the next one, and I'm going to talk myself into it. But this team has talent, but again, I don't like the negative. You can be realistic, and I'm not saying you got to be a homer and everything's got to be great, but if you're a fan of the team, when it comes nut-cutting time, I'm a Cowboys fan. Now, I can bitch and moan and say Kellen Moore screwed it up, or you guys can do this, but after I vent, I'm right back to being a Cowboys fan, and I'm all in. So I never understood that type of fan. I think it's those fans are. It's easy. It's easy, right? Like I said, because you can be negative, and you can be negative all day, and then when they win, you flip it to positive, and everyone forgets how negative you were before. So I don't know. That's just me. I'm not my taste may not be for everyone, but I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. I'm a positive person. I'm a positive fan. So we're gonna win the Super Bowl this year. That's the way I feel, and I'm going to feel that way every single year. I think Philly's the measuring stick. You got to give them the credit. Philly is they're the top. But I think our offense that is better this year than last year put 40 on that defense. Is their defense as good as they are last year to this year? I don't know. I think they might be the same. Their veterans are a year older. They got these young guys in the draft, and maybe they're as good, maybe they're better, but we dropped 40 on them. That I know. That I know we dropped 40 on them where their offense is not as good as it is right now. So I'm going to be confident in what this team can do. And I've got confidence in what Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn can do. And we're going to see what happens and let it roll, man. I think the thing with the Cowboys is they got a tough schedule, and Philly's got a tough schedule. They're playing the NFC East. That's not going to be easy. Let's see the schedule. Yeah, May 12th. They said coming soon, so it's got to be coming soon. And I think maybe they were delaying things for Aaron Rodgers, maybe to see where he ended up, to make sure he was going to the Jets before they put the Jets on 5 primetime games, because that's what's gonna happen. Philly has new coaching staff. Absolutely, good point. But they got a new coaching staff. They lost their coordinator. So how is that going to happen? How is that going to work out? So, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered from Philly. And you look at San Francisco. Brock Purdy, was he lightning in a bottle? They get rid of Garoppolo, which you can say whatever you want Garoppolo, but he won. He won a lot with them. And now you're putting your hopes in Trey Lance, who hasn't played a really meaningful amount of games since before COVID, because it was out his COVID year, and then he got hurt every year that he was in every year that he was in San Francisco. So that's a lot they're putting on San Francisco. Aside from that, I mean, where in the NFC do you see any fear? I mean, I wouldn't want to be an AFC fan right now, because I think AFC is loaded with their quarterbacks. So that's going to be interesting, for them, is like for the Dolphins and for Kansas City and Cincinnati. I mean, they are absolutely loaded. So let's just see some more comments. I appreciate you guys. You guys keeping me busy, man. You keep me busy on this show. I figured Sunday morning, I said, man, I ain't know we're going to be on here. I'll just be talking to myself for a while. So we'll see what happens. But no, I appreciate it. Best friend's a Cowboys fan who likes saying Dak sucks, saying he would take Derek Carr over him, and Romo's way better. I like him, but we had way more double-digit interceptions than Dak. Dak had one bad year last year with interception. He's not a turnover guy. And Tony Romo, and I love Tony Romo. I don't want to get into this because there's going to be a lot of it's going to seem like I'm coming across as hate, but I got Tony Romo. I got him right there. I got his jersey. I got his football right there, and I got his picture. It used to be over there. He got removed from there, but I had a picture of him somewhere. But anyway, I love Tony Romo, but he won 2 playoff games. I mean, Dak's won 2 playoff games, so neither one of them are much in my book right now until we start seeing a little bit more wins in the postseason. And that's just being honest. When you look at where they stack up against Aikman and Staubach, I mean, I wouldn't even put them. Danny White at least got to like 3 championship games in a row and things like that. But I think it'll remain to be seen to see how that goes. Going to San Fran and then LA, but I'd love to go to the LA game. Only because it'd be cool to go to that stadium. I think that's one of those stadiums. I've never been to a stadium better than Dallas, but I think Vegas, I think might have a one-up on them, and I think LA is better than them too. So I definitely, if I can figure out a way, that's why I need the schedule to come out so I can see when these dates are, so we can figure out and make the schedule, make the plans, the hotel reservations, all that good stuff. But no, that's why you got to get the schedule, man. They're waiting too long. But yeah, Troy and Troy. I mean, we can do a whole show on this. How did somebody tweeted out Aikman, Dak, and Romo? Who's better? I mean, even putting that in the conversation is embarrassing. I don't want to get into that again. I spoke enough about it. But yeah, Troy is there. Staubach, I didn't see Staubach play, so I can't be fair. I can't give a fair assessment because I didn't see him play. But Staubach probably would be the greatest Cowboy quarterback if you look at everything that went through it. I mean, 5 Super Bowls, winning 2 of them, being in the Super Bowl that many times in a decade, what he did to the organization. He really made it America's team to what it is. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. But again, I don't like comparing errors, but to say who's the greatest of them all, it's kind of hard with Cowboys because I mean I think they're 1 and 1A. I mean, realistically, both of them had very good teams. So when I went to the Rams last year, it was 7%. Yeah, no. So I mean, most fans, and that's why I don't even know how LA got a team. I don't even know how they got 2 teams because their fans. They don't have loyal fans, but it's basically it's an extra home game for us. So we got 8 home games now. We got 9, and Miami. I'll say Miami's good now, but usually when I go to the Miami games, it's pretty well represented by Cowboy fans. So I don't know if that'll be a home game, but I think we go to Carolina, and if Doug's still on, he can probably confirm because I haven't seen that, but I think Dallas pretty much takes over that stadium as well because most people. And we do it too sometimes as Cowboy fans, as you look at the schedule and you can't go to every game. Like for me, I got season tickets, but I live in Florida, so I can't go to every game. I go to like 3 or 4 games, and then I sell the rest. Sometimes you look at, okay, what game can I sell to make the most money to pay for the season tickets to help me go to the other games? So I think that's what happens with a lot of these other teams. When the Cowboys come to town, they know we're going to travel. They know there's going to be a huge fan base. They can get premium dollars for those tickets. They're going to sell those off to Cowboy fans. So that's just the free world we live in and capitalist society to get everything you can out of it. And the people don't understand who aren't Cowboy season ticket holders. That damn seat license you got to pay for ain't cheap. And I sell my tickets, but at the end of the day, I'm probably losing money because you got to pay that seat license. So we'll see. Let's see. We've got more Deuce. Deuce Vaughn picked a compliment Pollard. I think he's going to be a stud with the chip on his shoulder. Yeah. I was at that game. I don't know if you were at that game too, Justin. I saw that live. And yeah, that's what made me fall in love with him. Because again, I don't watch a ton of Big 12. I'm a ACC, SEC guy, living in the South. So I mainly watch their games. But he was dynamite, man. I was like, dude, I'd love for him to get on the team. I didn't even know his dad was a scout for the Cowboys. So when I heard that story, it's like, shit, man, that's even better. So, yeah, thanks, Doug. So, yeah, 65-35 Cowboys. So now we're at 10 home games for the Cowboys, unless there's any other one. But LA's be a home game. Carolina will be a home game. Like I said, I don't think Miami will be a home game only because Miami's really good this year, and typically down in Miami, if their teams are good, they will show up to support their team as long as they're good. When they stink, and then we get all the tickets. Get another cup of Joe here. Yeah, go to Dallas. Never been. No, it's a bucket list. Definitely stadium to go to. It was always a goal of mine to have season tickets. I won't live in Dallas, but I love going to the games. It's the thing I'll say about Jerry. It's an event. I mean, he made that stadium. When you go there, it's an event. It is, and I talked about it on another show. The game itself is really not the best part. The best part is the buildup. The best part is the Saturday night at Texas Live or hanging with Cowboys Nation. And then the Sunday is tailgating with everyone and having a good time. To me, that's what I look forward to. The game is almost secondary. I mean, I love going, don't get me wrong, but the everything building up to the game is my favorite part. So that's why I love to go, and I try and go as much as I can. I save all my hotel miles. I save my hotel points. I save all my Sky miles and all that kind of stuff to try and go as much as I can. And like my man Doug, he's pulled it off where he's gone to the game, flew in the morning and flew back at night. I might attempt that. I haven't attempted that yet, but I might attempt that. And so hopefully we don't have many noon games because I hate noon games. I think that's the worst thing in Dallas or noon games. Um, it's just, man, you just get up and go, and you just kind of. I was in a fog. I went to the Bears one was a noon game. We killed them, but I always go back to the I think it was the Bronco game was a noon game, and I think the clocks changed that day, that morning, so it made it even earlier. And you're just kind of walking, and you're like in a fog, and you're just kind of like going through through the motions, and we got our asses kicked. It was absolutely against a crappy Denver team. It was the worst freaking. It was the worst freaking day. I hated it. Went with my nephew, who was a Broncos fan, taking him to his first, Cowboys Broncos game, and he'll never go again because I'll never allow him back on that field. So hope he enjoyed it, and he can rag on me for the rest of his life, or rest of my life, I should say, because I'm older. So anyway, yeah, definitely make it a point to go to a game. Yeah, hey, I hope you're right, man. I don't know. I love that confidence. I think it was a great pickup. Like I said, I think it was a great pick. But yeah. So anyway, it was good. So what's your guys' honest outlook? I got a few minutes. What's your outlook on this season? I mean, Philly's they won the division. Do we got enough to overtake Philly? I mean, if you're being honest with yourself, just looking at it today, do we have enough to overtake Philly? I think we do. I don't think it's easy. I think it's going to be one of those where we might split our games. But Philly kind of ran away with that division, and that's why I said it's so important. It's so important for us to get every opportunity you have to win. You cannot screw it up, and that's where people talk about Kellen Moore and this offense. Oh, we're going to miss Kellen Moore. He had this number one offense and all of that. I mean, I don't want to say it was smoke and mirrors, but it was situational. I was at the Jaguar game where we blew a huge lead. Packer game, blew a huge lead. No excuse to lose either one of those games. No excuse to lose either one of those games. That makes the difference. That can make the difference on being that one seed, winning your division. Look at the road that they had to go to the Super Bowl. You couldn't ask for much better. You couldn't ask for much better. So it's just, you got to take advantage. That's why I love football. Every game is so important. It's not like basketball or baseball or hockey. You got all these damn games. Who cares? You got guys that don't even play. Every game matters. And that's why it pisses me off even more that the NFL has teams playing in Europe and have them playing all over the place. Every game matters. Every home game is so important. It drives me nuts, but it's all about the money with the NFL. No NFC team goes back to back. No, that's true. We felt that this year. So it'll be interesting. I think if healthy, we do. I'm also that's the one thing I was curious is Jalen Hurts. He did great, but is he going to be able to do what he did last year? And I'm with you, Doug. I don't think that's going to happen. And Dak owns them. New offensive coordinator. And yes, they've got a new OC. They got a new defensive coordinator. You don't know how that's going to work out. They've got the talent, but it's going to be interesting to see if they get off to a slow start because we got to jump on. That's why these early games. You see that damn schedule. See, we got that's we've got to jump ahead and stay ahead in the standings. Absolutely. And I've been back-to-back winners. Yep, absolutely. It's crazy. It's been like 15 or 16 years. We have enough talent, but need to come together, more discipline, and reduce the bad penalties. They did better this year than last year, or I should say last year than the year before, because we're already in our new season with their penalties. But absolutely, penalties at the wrong time, especially holding calls and things like that. I mean, they're absolute killers of drives. So hopefully we will continue to improve on that. I want to say how I really feel about Philly, but I don't want to go to I know. Hey, I know what you mean. How's that? You don't even need to say it. That can go unsaid. And we have to play the refs as well. I'm never going to be one to blame the referees for losses. I think obviously there's some bad calls in some of these games, and a lot of times it can go both ways. I think the referee needs to. I think the NFL as a whole, you have all this money. Um, you're creating all this revenue. And I tell you, I don't even know why there's a salary cap, because I'm looking at the NFL draft, and now they're going to have a schedule release thing, and they're doing the NFL is making money hand over fist, and these teams are revenue sharing. So there ain't no way in hell that these guys aren't making bank, 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 that they need to have a salary cap. There should just be a salary minimum. If you want to spend more, have at it. But there should be a salary minimum where each team has to spend a certain amount. But these owners are making a hell of a lot of money. So I don't, I don't understand it. But it'll be interesting. Like I said, the division is going to be tight. I think the Giants. I don't know. I don't know about the Giants. Redskins. I don't know. So it's going to still be a two-team race. I think it's going to be a two-team race between Philly and Dallas. I think we have the talent to overtake them. Injuries, obviously, that can change everything. That can change everything on either team. So if everyone's healthy to healthy, I like our chances against them to win the East. The question is going to be, like I said, we've got a tough schedule. If you look at the way the schedules work out, that number one seed is so important. I don't like what the NFL did. Again, I'm old school. I always, you had the top two seeds always got to bye. 6 teams in the playoffs. I thought it worked out really well. I'm not a real big fan of the 7 team. You get some crap team in there to kind of muddy up the waters a little bit. I think the 16 was fine, but NFL is about money. It's an extra game, extra TV revenue, and all of that stuff. Extra butts in the seats. The owners are going to go for it. So it'll be interesting. Jerry said we're looking for it right here. Yeah, we need a kicker to make field goals consistently. How's that? I don't even know who's out there. I hardly even look at kickers. I don't think about kickers till they miss them, and then I'm like, why the hell do we have this guy in the team? But they definitely need to make sure they've got a kicker. And I like to, if we would have got my man from the U as a punter, I loved him as a punter. He can kick the ball. Plus, he could probably beat the hell out of most players on the team, on the opposing team, if we get in a fight. So it's always good to have one of those on your team. But yeah, I don't know too much about the kicker. Fans gripe every time their team gets a penalty and cheer every time the other team. I mean, it works both ways. I mean, it's true. There was times in a game. I think it was past. I forget which Cowboy game it was, where we've got a very questionable call in our favor, but you're not going to apologize for it or take it back. So I think it does work both ways, but I think the NFL can be more consistent in their kickers. I think they can be more consistent and, getting, I got some old dudes out there. Hey, man, I'm getting old too. So I'm not hating on the old guys, but I mean, these players are younger, faster, and stronger. And maybe you need some on the field too that can chase them down. I mean, go back to that, the playoff game with Dallas, and you saw the guy trying to run the ball so they could spike it. A terrible play to run a quarterback sneak there. But I mean, the referee has to touch the ball, and he's running way the hell down there. He's 60, whatever old they are. It doesn't make it easier for us. So I think they definitely need to look at some of that stuff. Let's see, worst penalty we had was Vikings game when Meyer had to kick it 2-6. Yeah, I remember that one. Jesus. Whether we go 14-3 or 2-15, Dallas till I die, I'm the same way, but I don't want to go 2-15. Let's just be real about it. I don't want to go 2-15. I want to make sure that our Cowboys are winning. But this is a good roster, and we've talked about it. I mean, this team, people can give. And Jones, he deserves his share. He deserves his share of blame in this and that. But from a talent standpoint, you can't tell me that we haven't had a talented football team for several. I mean, you're going back a long line. I mean, I can't remember the last time that we had a team that we didn't say shouldn't have made the playoffs, or we'd had a team with the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. It's been a long time. I mean, we've had the talent. For whatever reason, we haven't been able to get done in the playoffs. Now, did Jerry Jones sign a deal with the devil that, with the Jimmy Johnson thing to win a Super Bowl without him? They got the one. They'll never win again. We've lost a lot of games in some bad ways in the playoffs. So I don't want to say I believe in those kind of things, but it makes me wonder sometimes. But, it'll be interesting. My man Claudio, happy with it. I am happy with the draft. I'm happy with the areas of need that we addressed. And I'll be happier when we take this team down to Miami and whoop y'all's ass. That's what I'm really going to be happy for. I'm just kidding. Miami's going to be tough. Miami's a good team. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I love going to the Miami games because I get a chance to hang out with some family and a lot of friends who are Miami fans. So no, it'll be good. But I am happy. I am happy with the Cowboys draft as far as what they address. Deuce Vaughn. I mean, shoot. That's the one I'm happy about. Like I said earlier, I'm looking in which one of these guys can earn a spot in the cave, and I think Deuce Vaughn has a great opportunity. Him and Mozzie Smith, I think, have a great opportunity to really do something. Mozzie, a few years ago, played in high school, so it's pretty sweet for the reason for me, but need him in the middle. Yeah, absolutely, that's pretty cool. I think it's cool when you see a kid or play at your high school or play in your community that ends up in the NFL. And really, especially if they get drafted in the first round, that's got to be pretty sweet. So, unfortunately, where I'm at now, football isn't the priority. Our football team stinks. Wrestling team's good, swimming's good, baseball's usually pretty good, but football, at least where my son goes, it's not a powerhouse. But I grew up in South Florida. I mean, our team was okay. Team was made the playoffs and stuff, but I mean, you were playing the likes of St. Thomas, Dillard, Ely. I mean, they were powerhouses down in South Florida. So I saw a lot of guys make it to the NFL that were in our in our district and area. The funniest one was I wrestled in high school, and at the state tournament, no name guy then, but the 152 state champion was Ray Lewis. So. Thankfully, I didn't wrestle 152, so I never would have to see him in my lifetime. But that'd be a tough one. So, do you believe in Mike as a play caller? I believe he's going to bring Dak to the next level. No, absolutely. I think that was the one thing. You guys, we'll be on here all day. I'll be pulling the Knicks. We'll be talking for 6 hours because the one thing I've said a million times, and make sure you guys subscribe if you're new to the channel because we've got some great stuff coming up. But if you're talking about Mike McCarthy, when he got hired, it really pissed me off and I know he said the right things, but you can't tell me that when he got hired that he handpicked more to continue to be his coordinator. When a coach comes in, it's almost like when you're a business and you do this and you take over a department, you want to bring your guys in, you want to run things the way you want. And they kept, Jerry Jones wanted Kellen Moore. And I think that was basically cutting the legs from under Mike McCarthy. And you could say clipping them, whatever you want to say, but it did not bode well. So I think you hired Mike McCarthy in because of his offensive knowledge. He's been obviously in Green Bay. They've always had tremendous offenses. New Orleans, he was offensive coordinator there. He worked under Bill Walsh. I mean, he's been around. So, I mean, offense is his thing. You think he needs to run it the way he wants it. So I think you're going to see a big improvement. And you saw this last year, I keep saying that, is he was being critical. He was being critical quietly. He was putting little jabs in. He was talking about, hey, you need to set up plays. You need to set up. He would design plays early on to get his playmakers involved early because he knew how important it was to get your receivers in early, get your running backs a touch early, get them in the flow of the game, get them going. And he was critical of Kellen Moore for that. He was also critical of option routes that Moore was, that was his style of offense. And again, I'm not an offensive coordinator, so I'm just only going by what I hear. But my understanding of option routes is the receiver and quarterback, they see the way the coverage is, and they've got to be on the same page. And I think maybe some of those interceptions that Dak threw, him and the receiver, him and the tight end, him and whoever weren't on the same page, and that caused some problems. So McCarthy doesn't do that. It's more, I don't want to say simplify, but West Coast, 3-step drop, go, 5, whatever they're going to do, get the ball out early, get your receiver in space, let your receiver get the yak. Now I think CD's one of the best at that. I think Brandon Cooks is a top receiver. I think Gallup has talent. I mean, no one has the toe touching and the way he catches. I mean, just unbelievable. And hopefully he's back after that year injury. They say it's a couple years. This is the second year, so we got to definitely expect more from him. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm excited. And my man Claudio, Miami's going to own us that day. Miami hasn't owned us, man. I don't even know the last time they freaking beat us. We slapped you guys around every other year. I don't want to hear nothing about that. I don't want to be hearing nothing about that. But I appreciate all the chats. We talked about it earlier. Cooks and Gilmore, those were our second day. Those were two of our fifth round picks. You add that in the draft, it makes it even better. Third, yeah. So I think this is the one. I don't know a lot about Overshown, DeMarvion Overshown, I believe, if I said it right. I don't know much about him, but heard great things. Heard he's fast, hard hitter. So it's definitely going to be, it'll be cool to see what he does. The last time we ran the West Coast off in Dally 9, yeah. So, the Cowboys offense in the 90s was, I don't know if it was it West? I didn't think it was West Coast, but it was more of, this is what we're running. You try and stop us, and let's see what happens. And I think that's what I'd love to see us do. Is we had got the talent on the field. You knew at third down it was either going to go to Novacek or it was going to Michael Irvin. You knew Emmitt Smith was typically getting the ball first and second down, try and stop us, and they couldn't. So I would love to get back to that. So let's see. Perfect example is Super Bowl 30. Neil O'Donnell threw the ball where the receiver should have been caught. Yes. And it's funny. We talked about that. I had Ernie Mills, who was on the Steelers. He played for the Cowboys later. And we were talking about that game. And he said, and I asked him, I said, be straight up now. Neil O'Donnell, which one? And he said exactly what you said. Exactly what you said. The receiver did not read the defense properly of what was happening. And he was the hot receiver, and he was supposed to either go in that spot, whichever it was. Ernie Mills was told the story well, but that's exactly, to that point. So, and blitz. See, I think that's what I think our linebackers, I'd love to see our linebackers blitz more. It's like I said with Parsons, I know he is a great pass rusher. I just don't know if I want him his hand in the dirt all the time. I think he wore down at the end of the year. I think he just, that's a lot. And he's not, look at the side, look at him and Tank side by side. Tank is built for that. Parsons, I wish he would be more off and be able to roam free. Now I think with Mozzie, I think that's what it's going to get more opportunity for, because now you've got, Hankins and Mozzie, and you got Gallimore, and you got Osa, you got some guys, you got a rotation in that middle that can definitely, cause some damage there to free up, Parsons a little bit more. So hopefully that works. Let's see. I think there's still a few questions answered on the offensive line. Yeah, I think, the offensive line, that's one I was surprised. I know we got Richards in the 5th round from North Carolina. We did sign did we sign a guard in free agency? Not a big name guy, but I thought they signed someone for depth. And I'll probably butcher this guy's name. Was Lecco, the guy they drafted and got hurt or whatever. I know they're high on him. So it's going to be, the line's a concern. I'm trying to find a positive way. As you can see, it's probably hard for me to do it. I think when healthy, I think the line is still one of the better offensive lines in the league. The problem is you still got Tyron Smith, and it's not if, but when he goes down, what are you going to do? And we were very fortunate last season where it's like guys went down and guys were coming back from the injuries, and it was like a perfect storm of a positive perfect storm of, you got guys back, losing guys, so you're just plugging guys in back and forth. So I don't know if you can bank on that this year happening. But I definitely, if you were going to say, hey, where's one area that you'd be a little bit concerned, is if that offensive line starts to get some injuries. I think that's an area of concern. I think that's a spot where you're like, sheesh, we're going to be in trouble. Now, again, they got a free agent, they drafted a guy. So hopefully, the thing the Cowboys have always done, and it backfired last year at receiver, is they live by the draft. And I mean by that is they draft their guys and they're expecting impact. They're expecting starters, instant contributors. And when that doesn't happen, you can run into a problem. Example being Amari Cooper. They ship Amari Cooper out. I wasn't totally against it because I thought they had a plan. I thought there was someone, you're letting go of one of your best receivers. Surely they had a plan. Surely they thought that, maybe they were going to get someone else, a veteran that they were going to bring in. And when that didn't happen, then you realize, oh, well, they're banking on Gallup coming off an injury being Gallup, and they're banking on Tolbert filling that role as well. And that didn't happen. And when that didn't happen, that's when that's when trouble started on the offense. So yeah, Steele coming off an injury. That's true. I forgot about. Yeah. So yeah, man. You making me feel bad, man. I was so positive. I was feeling good about the draft, feeling good about the team when you brought up the damn offensive line. But yeah, I mean, we definitely. I'm sure I'm sure they got a plan because you're in Florida and you get Floridians on the show, correct? Because you get a wide range of former players and coaches. JT Thomas is that why? Just curious. No. What I always try and do with some of these guests is I'm trying to find people with ties to the Cowboys. Now, I also ties to the Hurricanes because I'm a Miami Hurricane fan. So I love the history of football and the guys that paved the way. So I really honestly give a shout out to my brother. He should really be doing this show, but he's too scared to talk in front of a camera. But he's a historian of the NFL. And so many times we'll just sit and talk, and he's like, "Hey, man, you ought to reach out to this person or that," or people we know in the NFL community or through, different channels. So JT Thomas was interesting because we saw some videos on him talking and ties to the Cowboys, of the 70s to really get that other side. So that's really what I look at as, when we're trying to bring people on is one, this isn't my full-time job. So I got a job to do and I got a big responsibility. So I don't have a lot of time to do a ton of research and talk about things I have no clue about. If you talk about the Cowboys, I know a lot about the Cowboys just through all my years. And I'm a very passionate fan. I've told the story, the reason where I'm at today is really attributed to the Dallas Cowboys. I was, not the best high school student. I was working in a hotel. I'll give you the quick story. A guy was staying in our hotel. We talked football. And if you get me talking Cowboys, those of you who have met me, I'm really quiet. But when you get the Cowboys going, kind of my blood gets going and I get really passionate. I get, I'll never shut up, as you guys can probably see today. Is he said, "Hey, man," he goes, "You ever move?" And I'm like, I was just out of high school. I was like, shoot, yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to college. I didn't know what I was going to do. And he's like, "Man, if you can sell my stuff like you sell the Cowboys, dude, you can make some money and you can make me some money." So I moved up to Tampa, and I was 20 years old. So 27 years later, here I am. And I've been very fortunate in my career and very fortunate to be able to do some of the things I do. And it was really kind of tied to the Dallas Cowboys. So it's, that's what it is. Yeah. So when you see the hype videos, that's really me, man. That's my alter ego. That's why I tell people, I said, don't get disappointed when you meet me. I'm not going to come out screaming at you and, I'm not going to be, jumping off the turnbuckle or anything like that. It's just a lot of fun. But I used to do those as kids because we're wrestling, fans as well. So, but yeah, so that's going back to your question, that's where I get a lot of these interviews is I can do them without even thinking. I can interview JT Tom. Obviously, I'll do some research on the Steelers part of it, but that's really what it comes down to. But a lot of them have ties to Florida just by coincidence because a lot of them end up moving down to Florida. So you get a chance to run into them or this or that. But there are great videos now. Some people, don't like the past, but I'm just telling you, the videos and interviews that we have done on the channel, you can go back from Larry Cole all the way to Craig Morton to Dave Campo, Barry Switzer, Doug Cosby, what's his name? God, I'm going to start forgetting people, so I better stop naming because I won't forget them all. But they're, I mean, listening to their stories, man, it is just, it's awesome. And I'm happy you found me too, but man, I appreciate it. And make sure if you're on YouTube, I know you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. That helps me out the most. But I do appreciate Facebook as well. That gets the word out. But anyway, all those interviews that we do, and having Coach Dennis Erickson on, and George Teague we had on, and I mean, there's just so many fun stories, and you really learn about the history. But when you talk to some of these older guys, they've paved the way for the NFL today. And you look at all the money that the NFL's making, and I'm not saying they owe them anything. I mean, they don't owe them nothing. But I think what they owe them is maybe a little give back of medical care, things like that. Because you've got a lot of these guys that absolutely, it's a different game. And listen to JT Thomas. I mean, there was one thing he had said, and we'll talk about it a little bit. They used to bet cases of beer on knocking players out, in the steel curtain. That's just the mentality of the way people played. I mean, that's why I talk about you can't compare eras. People say, well, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback. Yeah, he probably is. But if Tom Brady played in the 80s, if he played in the 70s, he ain't playing as long as he did. I mean, a career was 8 to 10 years as a quarterback. 10 years was a great career for a quarterback. Now you got these guys playing into their 40s. Man, that don't happen. They'd be dead. And that's why you got to be very careful on how you compare players. And you say, oh, this guy's the greatest. That's why you really don't do it. It's the same thing with receivers. I mean, look at the receivers today, 120 catches, 130 catches. They don't get touched. Look at the receivers in the, when Michael Irvin played, or even when Drew Pearson, like I'm just using Cowboys as era examples. That wasn't the case. It was a totally different game, physical game. And that's that's really the way it was. So you gotta be careful when you do that. But I love talking to those guys because the stories, and really the advantage of guys who are retiring away from the league, they have no filter. They don't care. They're going to tell you. They're not going to hold back many feelings. So definitely, if you guys haven't checked any of those videos out, I created a playlist. You can go to cowboyscave.com. And you can go to player interviews, and you can see the whole slew of them there. Or you can go to YouTube, and there's a playlist with all our interviews there. But check it out. But, hey, I was only looking to go on for 30 minutes, and here I am an hour and 10 minutes later. But, hey, man, I just want to thank everyone really for a quick second. Anyone who's listening, thank you so much for the support. We've had a lot of fun. Jimmy D and I, Monday nights, it's just talking sports. So if you don't have to be a Cowboys fan. If you just love talking sports, that's a great show for you. We have a lot of fun. We take calls. We're going to work more on getting people inside the show. And then Thursday, you guys know Kelly K9, man, my boy. We do all Cowboys content all day, all hour. And again, we take calls, and we're bringing people in, and we do get some Cowboy guests and this like that. So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I appreciate it. You guys make me feel good, because I'll be honest with you. I told my wife, I said, man, I'm going to do this show live, and probably ain't going to be anyone on there, but I just want to just do it. And in a weird way, it's easier for me to do a live show and then pre-record it, because then I can blast it out to all the Facebook. If you're on Facebook, Mike Tag, Cowboys Cave, you can go on there and you'll always find stuff there. Obviously, YouTube, Cowboys Cave, Twitter, Instagram, MTag1993. We're going to get this thing going. We're having a good time. So, again, I appreciate all the support on behalf of even Jimmy D and Kelly K9. We're having a lot of fun. We're fans. Like I said, we're like you. I'm not going to come on here and belittle anyone and tell you I know more than you or anything like that, man. Let's just kick it. There's things you'll agree on with me, things you'll disagree. Just say it in the chat, man. We can have a good conversation. And again, we'll be taking calls, so you can call in and do it. So I appreciate it. You guys have a great, great, great Sunday. Hopefully the week goes by fast to get to the weekend. And you're the best Cowboys talking head. I appreciate it, man. You guys take care. And the hype's coming. The hype is coming. We're going to make this thing happen. And the Cowboys will be there. So I'll leave you. I haven't done it in a while because I make some new ones. I'll leave you with just my favorite. This is the one that started off. You guys have a great Sunday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night live. Make sure you check it out. All sports, man. Peace.
Eagles getting ready, because you might not like it, but you will learn to love it, because we are the best thing going today.